And now, please welcome to the stage, Jim Peck.
How are you? Good, thank you. So, welcome to the 2024 NIQ Senior Leadership Meeting in sunny Orlando, Florida. What I'd like to talk to you this afternoon about is our journey, where we've been and our journey ahead, and then the context for our journey, not with specific objectives and strategies, as we've gone through that 3-year plan process for I think this is the 4th time actually. I thought it was really good this year. And so we're not going to talk about that, or I'm not going to talk about that, because you should all understand it, and we will be spending a lot of time reinforcing it over the next few days. So what I am going to talk about is context for our journey as NIQ, and also the context I have for my own personal journey. So make no mistake that if you are in this room, you have not chosen the easy path. NIQ and GFK have gone through a tumultuous period for 20 years now. The world has changed. Competition has changed. Nielsen priorities over the years have not been kind to NIQ as a company. It went from a clear market leader to an underperforming runner-up in the eyes of many, many people, and in our actual performance. To choose to be here over the last 3.5 years is to choose to be part of a profound journey to transform this company into a market-leading business. That is hard work that comes with stress, uncertainty, ups and downs, disappointment sometimes, self-doubt. At least that's how I experience some of my feelings, but it also comes with the thrill of the challenge. The notion that you're going to do something that is making a difference and that will make things better for our people, for our customers, and ourselves. It is taking something that is specifically characterized as broken and not only fixing it, but making it function with excellence. Part of the thrill is knowing that the NIQ journey will be noticed and that you will be noticed for doing something profound. Our legacy will be rebuilding this great company. So I'm going to switch gears now to think about context for why we might have chosen this not so easy path. What makes some of us want to take the big challenge? I want to explore this because I was put in a position to have to think about it recently, and also because I believe there's something to exploring this that might help us with our employee engagement, which, while improving, is still not reflective of a super motivated workforce. Maybe if we can put context around our journey, it can help us rationalize some of our feelings, your feelings, about the company, and then tell them to our people, which might help them put themselves in context for themselves, or put things in context for themselves, and then ultimately their people. So here's what's happened recently. About a month ago, someone called me about the company, and they want to talk about me as they do, like what's going on with you, where are we going? So I asked his questions, and by the end of his discussion with me, he said, "Why did you do this again? Why do you put yourself through this?" And jokingly, you must be a sadist or something. Why would you do this? Because this is hard. And first I said, look, it's not so bad. I'm enjoying myself. But I admitted it's bigger than what I thought. It's the hardest thing I've ever had to do, in my professional career. But my real answer was that about 25 years ago in my career, I recognized a pattern where I take on roles that had like a 4 to 7 year run, and that had clear challenges going into it for me personally. So I knew I had to grow, and I knew it was a big challenge for the company. And so if we did it, and I did it, people would say, clearly you did that, right? Like it's not kind of hidden under a rock or something. So the risks were high. And I know I don't like taking on roles that are status quo, minding the store, whatever. I like to go on a journey of sorts, to do something that is meaningful, that builds a legacy with the people I work with. And I told them that NIQ represented that to me. And I just wanted to try it one more time, before I hang up the saddle or whatever it's called, the stirrup, or the whatever those things you put on your feet. And so my colleague's like, "Oh, that's pretty interesting. You should read a book called The Hero with 1,000 Faces by John Campbell." So I did, and it's a philosophy book where the theme is that humans have been telling the same story with new characters since the beginning of humankind, and the theme is the hero's journey. So the hero's journey is, I'm simplifying it just a little bit because there's a lot of stuff in the book, but a person is born grows to young adulthood experiencing the status quo, has a call to action, faces a seemingly insurmountable challenge, takes on a challenge which includes not only vanquishing a foe, achieving a result, but also requires profound personal sacrifice and personal growth. Once achieved, there is a communal participation in the results of the achievement, and then the whole cycle starts again. And so, of course, if you think about it, we see these stories in our Greek myths, Shakespeare. Every religion around the world has these kinds of stories to teach people about their beliefs. Modern day books and movies like Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, Star Wars, Hunger Games, Harry Potter, you can go on and on and on, and you can go back in time way far. These all are about the human experience, or part of what makes us human. And it turns out this book, which was written in 1949, has helped many quite famous writers tell their stories. And so it could be a little deep, but if you're into that thing, it's quite good, and I'll give you some advice on going to get it. So look, NIQ is no mythological thing, right? And I'm certainly not a mythological thing, and that's what a lot of this book is based on. But the journey cycle we're going on is as old as the human race, and it really resonated with me. Everybody has their story, and it's very similar to this cycle. So the journey can also apply to an organization. And NIQ is on its own journey, and you know that story. So the NIQ story can be interpreted in many ways. And Nielsen being a 100-year-old company, GFK being almost a 100-year-old company, has gone through many cycles. So you could tell it many, many ways. The way I like to tell it is there was a lot of suffering going on from poor performance. There was a rebirth as NIQ. We didn't really have a lot of time to think about it. There was immediate call to action in our case. And now we are somewhere in between the reckoning and the achievement as we continue to transform and then have the ability, this is what we really want to get to, we want to have the ability to deliver results without contorting ourselves, with just knowing we can do it for the next 5 years. So now I want to share a bit about my own personal journey in hopes that it'll help you know me a little more and also help you think about your own personal journey. And part of the journey is the call to action that happens early in our lives that somehow really shapes us. For me, it's about a kid who had things come fairly easy. So I coasted through childhood and my early teenage years. Class clown, just good enough grades, to keep everyone off my back. Just good enough in sports, but never really being all in and committed. My father, on the other hand, happened to be the exact opposite, right? Very serious, a PhD in metallurgy, of all things, a business leader, very good at his job, and a community leader. And without saying it, I always felt there was always a little disappointment from him with his oldest boy, right? Like, get serious. So as I look back, I believe I never wanted to set those big goals because I never wanted to miss them because I didn't want him to see me miss them, right? So I skated. And it finally came to a head for me in high school. And this is not a unique story, and it's actually kind of boring. But it deeply affected me, meaning it happens to 10,000 kids every day in every high school, or high school age kids around the world. So I play baseball, and I'm trying out for the varsity team. And I really wanted to make this varsity team so I could be with my friends, so I could play the game I love, and so I could wear that jacket, and be cool. But true to form, I played the clown. I screwed around in practice, and I acted like I wasn't serious. So when the team list was put up, I wasn't on it, and I was sent down to the junior varsity. And most of my friends made the team. So just picture this, we all have our memories. I could still smell the locker room. There's a posting on the board. It's got like everybody's name on it. And I'm looking, and my name's not on it. And my friends are standing next to me seeing their names, but recognizing, my name's not on it. So what goes through your head right then is like, okay, act like you don't care. But what you're really trying to do is not cry, because you're still a kid, So what brings back memories now. So, the other thing, you had to pack up all your crap, your stuff. I had to go right to the JV locker room with the young guys. They all went to the varsity room, out to practice. And my friend, who's still one of my very best friends. He had a 1965 Pontiac GTO 354 barrel with the scoop on the hood. Anyway, we drove around a lot together, and he picked me up after practice, and he didn't know what to say because he made the team, of course. And so we drove home, and we didn't talk, and we didn't listen to music. It was just that the hot air blowing out of the heater from the car because it was a little cold out. And he dropped me off, and we didn't really hug in those days. He just gave me a little pat. But what I was dreading most was going home and telling my father. There were no cell phones then, so he was wondering what happened. And I had to also tell my girlfriend, who's now my wife, who could care less about baseball, but at least she was worried about me. And so I felt like a loser, and I still get upset about it. So my dad, of course, didn't say much, but he asked me to reflect on what I might have done differently to make the team. I thought he handled that pretty well. He was basically asking me to be accountable. And I knew deep down the issue was not being committed and not doing the work. I just didn't do the work, so why would I think I would get to what I wanted? So I had a big choice to make. I could quit. Just screw it. I'm not going to go to that JV locker. I'm not going to suffer that every day. Or I can stick with it. And so I told myself that I'm not going to quit, and from this day forward, I'll outwork everyone in sports, in grades, in projects. My job as a landscaper, my job as a night manager of a convenience store. We had the cleanest toilets in the place, right? I just changed completely. And so it was quite a wonderful lesson for me, in that I was cut by a very smart coach named Augie Bossu, and he was an older guy. But I think he saw that he needed to do something. And so he cut me, but it really changed my life and set me on a course where even today, I still remember it. So every day, every week, every year, I'm trying to prove myself. Trying to get, and this probably is not a good thing psychologically, by the way, but still trying for that positive affirmation. You're not a loser, you're a winner, right? And so it changed the way I looked at myself too, which is I'm more serious and it's a bit about me against the world. Like, I'm going to do this or get out of my way. We're going to do this or get out of my way. And I know it's why I feel the need to challenge myself. I think it also explains why I like taking on the bigger challenges. And I think it's why I have this, as you know, maniacal sense of accountability, and why the fear of losing weighs heavy on me, very heavily. And as I matured, I realized I was using this to drive me, and that I like to go in cycles of doing something big. And by the way, I didn't win all the time. Certainly, I have some horrible public failures, that my mom got to read about in the news, right? But that's okay. I've grown stronger too, and I can take those because I know I can work my way through them. And that's part of feeling alive. If there's no risk, if there's no challenge, then then you really aren't taking that big risk, right? You probably, are just kind of going through life. So that's just me. And so now I'm into the 4th year of my NIQ journey. And just like any other journey, I've got fears, doubts, stresses, but also the joy of working with really smart people, notwithstanding what you guys just did in that room over there. And I know you're committed to achieving our goals as a team. You're so passionate about our clients. I think your passion actually carried us through a lot of the bad times, just because you're going to put this on your back individually and be a hero for your client. So like any journey, I've also had to transform myself. I've had to face myself down. And for me, I went into this job 3.5 years ago knowing I've done it before several times. So I had this mindset that I was going to wash, rinse, and repeat. Not a good thing. So subconsciously and maybe even overtly, this meant I wasn't emotionally committed to each of you and to the business. I was working hard, and I was doing, of course, what I thought were the right things, but I wasn't fully in it. And for me, that changed, and I mentioned this, I think, last time, not in detail, but that changed for me towards the end of last year, as I watched some of my direct reports struggling under the weight of their roles. And I knew I wasn't there for them, and I knew I wasn't there for you. And I had a reckoning with myself, as they say. And I remembered all the way back, and very genuine, all the way back to that 16-year-old that wasn't committed, and then the promise I made myself and said, just because you're 60-some years old doesn't mean you still don't have to fulfill that promise. So I talked with people about it, my wife, of course, and my friends. Some of you in this room I talked to about it and asked how I might show better. And I recommitted myself to why I was doing this personally and why it mattered. I want to show that I can do things. I want my team to show that they can do things that are meaningful in the world. And so this resulted in me getting much more involved with you, with clients, as you might have noticed, and with site visits. I'm like going everywhere, and I'm really having fun. And I feel so much more engaged, happy. I'm stressed a little, but in the game. I'm part of it. I'm not just, aloof trying to sit up. And I think I was doing a little bit of that. So I feel like I'm part of something bigger, and I'm living my own little hero's journey to myself, where I'm walking through that cycle and I'm transforming and I'm doing what I have to do to get the job done. And so that's the context I have for how I relate to why. Why would I want to do and be part of something as big as taking these two now 100-year-old companies and making them awesome, right? I would say, and again, this probably isn't good from a psychological standpoint, I want someone to say, great job, you're amazing. And I want someone to say, you are part of a great team that turned around this company. And the world, believe me, they are going to know it when we do it. They're already talking about it, right? So my big ask is that you spend some time thinking about your own journey. And we're going to do an exercise that helps you do that. But please don't stop there. Really understand the context for what makes you get up every morning. Put on your armor, strap the sword, around your waist, jump on your horse, and slay your dragons. And please share that story with your team. They're interested. And have them do the same with you. And if you can, try and do that all the way through the organization, just sharing your own little piece of humanity that we know kind of scientifically now, humans respond to these stories, and that's why we tell them. I think that'll help us be emotionally committed. It will help everyone be more accountable to each other, and I think it will help us achieve our goals. So thank you again for everything we've accomplished. Let's not forget that. It's amazing stuff so far. And let each of us use this meeting to commit to the next phase of our journey with a great 2025 and beyond. So thank you guys for hearing me out.